Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, Chatting with Chops. Today we're going to try and make some Copycat Texas Roadhouse rolls and see how they turn out. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do to make these Copycat Texas Roadhouse rolls is we are going to need to boil some milk. Get some nice warm milk. So I've put a cup of milk in my pan and I'm about to warm this up and then get it down to room temperature. Directions say that you need to bring it to almost a boil, remove it from the heat, and let it just get to room temperature. So that's what we're going to do. We have warmed up our milk, and because obviously you put it on the stove, it's warmer than we need it right now. Yeast likes between 105 and 110 degrees, and you can see right here that's 136. That is not going to make my yeasties very happy. So we're just going to let that sit and cool off a little bit more. But in the meantime, we're going to go and jump to the next step of the recipe. So we want to add our flour, our egg, and our melted butter to our mixer. So we need 4 cups of flour. All right. Yep, I'm using a bigger measuring cup this time. Thought I'd throw you guys off a little bit. I don't have my little half a cup. I've got a whole cup I'm using. So we have 3 and 4. Okay. Now we want to add our egg. Unfortunately, this recipe could be made vegan, but I've decided today that we're going to just make it regular. Because the other name for this is milk bread. And we'll try another day where we make it vegan, but today we're going to do it regular. All right, so we're going to put in our whole egg. And the last thing we want to do is put our melted butter in here. And this is 5 tablespoons of melted butter. And I've melted this earlier so that it's nice at room temperature. Because if you put something too hot in here with this egg, you're going to end up with scrambled eggs. And that is not what we're trying to make today. All right, now we are going to mix this up a little bit. So we've got our milk down to the right temperature that we need. We've put in 1/4 of a cup of honey. And then we're going to put in our package of yeast. I like to just use these Fleischmann Active Dry. That's just a 1 packet. Okay, and then I'm just going to mix that up a little bit. And we're going to let this just sit aside for a minute, for about 5 minutes, and just let this yeast grow and do what it wants to do. I really wish y'all could smell how great this smells right now. All right, so we have, in our standing mixer, we've already combined the flour, egg, and melted butter. Now we're going to take our yeast mixture, which has our active yeast and had our honey and our warm milk, and we're going to add it to our flour mixture. Let's stir that up a little bit. What I need to do is add a little bit of salt, and you know, you guys, I really don't like cooking with salt, so we're just going to add a little bit. But with bread, it's just really important that you have your salt. What I want to try and do now is I'm going to take my spatula and just kind of give everything a little bit of a mix. And then what we're going to do is we're going to knead this with the blender about 3 or 4 minutes and let it get all nice and incorporated together. All right, so sometimes I don't always recommend it because the recipe is there for a reason. Somebody's tested it out and obviously it worked well for them. But sometimes I find that there's some things that I see that don't look like they're going as well as I want them to go. So what I want to do is, if you see some of this, some of my mixture is not wanting to combine in together really well. So what I want to do is just put this down on the counter and see if I can knead this a little bit by hand, just to get all of it to come together, because it just doesn't seem to want to it doesn't seem to want to come together in the mixing bowl. It's almost looked like it needed a little bit more moisture. So I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Again, first time I've ever made this recipe, so I can't say that it's gonna be a 100% foolproof wonder. With recipes, you just never know. They can turn out fabulous for one person and just be tragic for the next person. But I don't know if you can notice or not, but how it is starting to come together a little bit. I don't normally use milk with my bread, so that's something that's new to me as well. See, I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's not nearly as much as this dry dough sitting. If you have to, just rewind and look back when we first started blending it. Okay? And we're almost out of time for kneading, so this is working out beautifully. All right, so at the end here, what I usually try to do is get a nice, pretty round ball if I can. Looks like we're gonna miss a little bit of this dough, but that's okay. If we can get a nice round ball, and we're gonna take this and put it in a oiled bowl. I've just sprayed some cooking spray. What I usually do is I put it in, I flop it over so the top gets a little bit of oil on it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this up and leave it alone for about an hour and see if we can get a good rise on it. Okay? So the next thing we need to do is we've uncovered our bread, and I'm not quite sure because this little guy is not looking as risen as my stuff usually does. So you wanna punch that down. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put him out on a flat surface. And I'll go ahead and apologize if you can hear my dishwasher in the background. Everybody's got to wash at some point, right? Okay, so we're going to roll him out, put a little bit of on my hands, and then I'm going to use a rolling pin, and we want to roll him out till he's about an inch thick. And actually, I think what I'm probably going to need to do is try and see if I can get him to come out a little bit. He's just, the dough is just really firm, and I'm just not used to that. I'm not quite sure on this recipe. We might have to try this one again sometime at a later point and see what's going on. Of course, for all I know, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. So, you know, you just never know. Can get him to want about an inch thick, it said. So I think that's about as far out as I'm going to take it. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring our cookie sheet down, because that's where we're going to put our lovely little rolls that we're going to cut out. Now the recipe says that you can make 12, but I usually like to stick with what works well for me. Okay. So I'm just going to cut this edge off for the moment. All right. And now would be a really good time to be preheating your oven to 350 degrees. Okay. I'm going to keep these guys kind of on the big side. If it's only supposed to make 12, then I want them to kind of be on the bigger side. These are almost looking slider size, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so we ended up with 10. Let's see if we take some of this last little bits and just kind of bring them together a little bit. See if we can get just a couple more. Again, it's okay if you don't get the exact amount that the recipe says. You don't know, sometimes they don't tell you what size the rolls are supposed to be. They just say you're supposed to get 12. Okay, well that doesn't tell me much. Okay. I'm just gonna take off some of these edges, and we're just gonna have nice 11 dinner rolls. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to cover these back up for about 20 more minutes and just let them rest here. Okay, And again, I am just a little bit concerned because they have not really done anything in the 20 minutes. So I'm not sure what's going on, but we're gonna go ahead and stick these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 14 to 16 minutes. Just gonna watch them really carefully and see how they do until they start getting a little bit brown, and make sure they're brown on the bottoms. Just took them out of the oven and they look pretty good. Well, I won't say that they look fantastic. They're not the prettiest dinner rolls I have ever made. We're gonna put some butter on the top of them. Hopefully that'll dress them up a little bit, but they just came out of the oven. It took a few extra minutes to get them nice and golden brown. You see got a little bit of golden on the top, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this melted butter on the top of them, and then I'm just gonna kind of let them sit here and rest for a few minutes. Give them a chance to cool off a little bit, and then we're gonna try one and see how it is. Definitely think this could be improved upon or tried again. There's definitely, I feel like there's something that's missing or flawed in this recipe. So we let them sit here and just kind of soak up some melted butter, and now we're going to try and see how they turned out. These are supposed to be Copycat Texas Roadhouse rolls. So if we just break them, oh, now that's pretty. That looks really good. This is the part I was telling you about, how it may not be looking like it's turning out well and you just want to stop there, but you just never know. So let's see how it tastes. That tastes really good. You can taste the honey, and it's kind of dense, so if you don't like that, I don't know that this will work out really well for you, but that is really good. I mean, soaking up in some butter or some breakfast jam or all kinds of things. I don't know that I necessarily would use these for like a slider. I think the bread is too dense for a slider. Yeah, I think these would turn out fantastic. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I have such a good time making videos for you guys, and I will catch you on the next bake. Wanted to let you guys know, if you like any of my travel videos, I have started a new channel called Karen Norwood Travel, where I put a bunch of cost-saving trips on there. We do a lot of camping and hiking, so if you like that, go check it out.